Announcements none. Papers have been laid. Questions?
Honourable Leader of the Opposition, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to the Honourable Minister of Commerce and Consumer Protection, whether in regard to the State Trading Corporation, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain therefrom information as to the A, financial situation thereof for the year ending 30th June 2024, and B, expected windfall gain to be derived by the corporation over the next 4 months with respect to the unchanged retail prices of mogas and gas oil.
Yes, Minister.
Madam Speaker, I thank the Honourable Leader of the Opposition for this question. With regard to Part A of the question, I am informed that the financial statements of the State Trading Corporation are currently being audited by the National Audit Office and will be submitted to the House in due course. I am further informed that in financial year 2023-2024, the State Trading Corporation, STC, recorded a net surplus of 1.5 billion rupees from the sales of non-subsidized products. As of 30th of June 2024, the corporation's cash and cash equivalent stood at 2.7 billion rupees, while inventories were valued at 637 million rupees. However, by 11th of April 2025, the net cash available had decreased to 1.7 billion rupees, reflecting ongoing financial commitments and market conditions. It is worth noting that the surplus is used to cater for the daily operational expenses of the STC, which includes purchase of foreign currency to effect payment to suppliers for all the products that the STC imports for the country, which amounts to about 4 billion rupees each month. Additionally, I wish to inform the House that the subsidy account of the STC currently has a deficit of around 1.8 billion rupees, while the price stabilization account has an overall deficit of 2.8 billion rupees as at date. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question on the expected windfall gain, I wish to provide the House with the following clarification and facts. Number one, as honourable members are aware, the Consumer Protection, Control of Price of Petroleum Products, Regulations 2011, as amended, provides a robust framework to ensure transparency and fairness in fuel pricing. The Price Stabilization Account, PSA, was established to absorb fluctuation in global fuel prices and smoothen the impact on consumers. The difference between the regulated retail price and the actual calculated price of fuel is credited or debited to the PSA accordingly. Number two, the Petroleum Pricing Committee, PPC, met most recently on 11th of April 2025 to assess the current market data and projection. It was observed that for mogas, the calculated price stood at 59 rupees and 70 cents per litre against a maintained retail price of 61 rupees and 20 cents, a marginal over recovery of 1 rupee and 30 cents per litre. For gas oil, the calculated price was 52 rupees and 61 cents per litre against a retail price of 58 rupees and 95 cents, indicating a greater over recovery of 5 rupees and 51 cents per litre. Number 3, based on the national consumption levels of approximately 500 million litres annually for both fuel types, that is mogas and gas oil, the 4-month consumption is projected at around 166 million litres for both products, subject that there will be any turbulence in the global prices of mogas and gas oil. The STC may make an estimated national surplus or windfall gain of mogas 108 million rupees, gas oil 459 million rupees, total 567 million rupees over the period April to July 2025. Number 4, however, it is imperative to note that these funds do not constitute commercial profits for the STC. Rather, they are automatically credited to the price stabilization account as mandated by Regulation 4 of 2011 regulations. These proceeds are used to compensate for past period of under-recovery when global prices exceeded retail prices, build reserves to mitigate future volatility in global petroleum markets, safeguard the purchasing power of consumers through stable pricing. Number 5, as at 8th of April 2025, the PSA continued to reflect a net deficit of 2.8 billion rupees, down from 4.2 billion rupees at end of June 2024, and its peak of 5.2 billion rupees in September 2023, while the PSA for mogas moved into a slight surplus of 300 million rupees. The PSA for gas oil remained in deficit to the tune of 3.1 billion rupees. It is therefore clear that the national surpluses are being used to offset this accumulated deficit. Number 6, furthermore, the STC has had to resort to foreign currency loans amounting to 8.1 billion rupees to ensure uninterrupted fuel imports during periods of USD shortage. This further underscores the importance of using any over-recoveries to strengthen STC's financial position and protect national energy security. In conclusion, while a national surplus of 567 million rupees may accrue over the next 4 months if international trends hold steady, this must be reviewed in context. These are not profit, but regulated buffer accumulation intended solely for price stabilization and the financial recovery of the PSA. The Ministry and the STC remain firmly committed to ensuring that every rupee collected under this mechanism is transparently accounted for and used in the public interest. Madam Speaker, as I have explained in my recent intervention on the media, this government has inherited a catastrophic economic legacy from the previous government, as published in the recent State of the Economy report, which details the excesses done and the financial mismanagement by the previous government. We have a public debt of not less than 644 billion rupees, representing 90.4% of GDP. Government deficit stands at 9.3% of GDP. We are on the watch list of Moody's. Any downgrade to junk status will be catastrophic for the country. We already have the unpredictability of trade tariff and potential global recession looming. We have to ensure that the country and its institutions are rebuilt on strong foundations where ethics and good governance prevail. This is where we intend to go and lead. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, Honourable Leader. Have a supplementary question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I've listened carefully to the Honourable Minister. May I ask him that in view of the profit recorded, he said of the order of 1.5 billion rupees by the State Trading Corporation, will he inform the House why government is not keeping its promise of reducing the prices of mogas and gas oil by at least 20 rupees, promise which was made by the Honourable Prime Minister, by several ministers on the other side and MPs also before the last general elections?
Yes, Minister, I thought you had replied.
I will reply, Madam Speaker.
Again. Okay.
Madame la Présidente, le MSM nous a laissé un héritage lourd et déficitaire dans la plupart des ministères et coopératatiques. On note les suivants. Ce monsieur, il était ministre, le leader de l'opposition. I rephrase. Le leader de l'opposition était ministre de l'énergie. À la CEB, il y avait 243 millions de déficit. Mal géré, malheureusement. C'est pourquoi on voit la STC partout. La CWA a enregistré un déficit de 300 millions. La Wastewater Management Authority, un déficit de 527 millions. Et il y a des emprunts partout. À la STC, je l'ai dit dans ma réponse, le subsidy account de la STC a un déficit de 1,8 milliard de roupies. On a hérité, Madame la Présidente. Et aussi, la PSA a un déficit de 3,4 milliards de roupies en novembre 2024, avait un déficit en novembre 2024. Et aujourd'hui, ce déficit a été réduit à 2,8 milliards de roupies. Et je dois aussi dire que nos promesses, on va les faire. Je dois vous dire, Madame la Présidente, que some of our measures in our program had been implemented. Some will be implemented in the next month. Some will be implemented next year. We will do whatever to do to redress this country. We will do everything to redress this economy.
Thank you. Another question?
Yes, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Minister is trying to make us understand that they were not aware of the situation at the level of the PSA. Madam Speaker, the STC has press releases every time the Petroleum Pricing Committee sits. So they were very much aware of the situation. Then why did you make that promise to the population?
I'm sorry, one moment. Are you questioning him on his action or on his promise? Minister, do you want to reply?
I can reply, Madam Speaker. I would tell him why he did not do the
Don't call him.
Okay, no problem. Madame la Présidente, au niveau de la PSA en 2023, le 30 septembre 2023, il y avait un déficit de 5,2 de milliards. Ce qu'il propose, le leader de l'opposition, voilà. Il aurait pu le faire avant, en 2023. Voilà. Mais nous, notre priorité, c'est redresser l'économie. C'est ça qu'on va faire. Et soulager les consommateurs quand on pourra le faire. Et on est sérieux, on va le faire.
Merci. L'honorable German.
Thank you, Madam.
PNQ is my question time, Madam Speaker. I need to finish my question, then you can give question to other members of parliament. Yes, of course. This has been...
Leader of the opposition, if I may, we will have until 12:04. What if he doesn't get a chance to talk? He caught my eye.
No, but as a matter of principle,
Honourable gentleman,
Thank you, Madam.
be to the point, please.
Yes. Can the Minister inform the House about the year-on-year financial state of the Price Stabilization Account, PSA, over the last 5 years, and what were done with surpluses or windfall gain, as we just heard, in those days when same arose? Thank you.
Madame la Présidente, l'ancien gouvernement, malheureusement, ils n'ont rien fait. Mais j'ai le plaisir de table les chiffres de la PSA depuis 2021. Peut-être je peux mentionner quelques points. Donc, le 28 décembre 2021, il y avait un déficit de 1,5 milliard de roupies. Février 2022, 2,1 milliards de roupies. 19 avril 2022, 2,8 milliards de roupies. Le 18 mai 2022, 3,3 milliards de roupies. Le 13 septembre 2022, 4,5 milliards de roupies. Le 12 janvier 2023, 4,4 milliards de roupies. Le 11 mai 2023, 4,7 milliards de roupies. Le 2 juin 2023, 4,3 milliards de roupies. Le pic, le 30 septembre 2023, 5,2 milliards de roupies. Octobre 2023, 5 milliards de roupies. 27 janvier 2024, 4,2 milliards de roupies. 24 mai 2024, 4,2 milliards de roupies. Le 18 septembre 2024, 3,8 milliards de roupies. Et nous, en novembre, on avait hérité avec 3,4 milliards de roupies. Et aujourd'hui, on a pu faire baisser la PSA et c'est arrivé à 2,8 milliards de roupies parce qu'on a une équipe sérieuse. On est là pour redresser l'économie, ce qu'on va faire.
Merci.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Please.
From what the Honourable Minister said, then can I request or ask the Honourable Minister whether he can consider reducing further the deficit of the price stabilization account with the surplus made by the STC for the year 2024 with a view to decrease the retail price of mogas and gas oil.
Minister, you spoke of national energy security.
We will definitely reduce the deficit because, en fait, on est une équipe expérimentée, l'équipe du cabinet, et aussi on est une équipe sérieuse.
Next question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. In view of the continuing decline of petroleum product prices on the world market, now with the OPEC countries increasing their production by 410,000 barrels per day as from the month of May, will the Honourable Minister consider scheduling monthly meeting of the Petroleum Pricing Committee so that consumers benefit same and do not have to wait for 4 months for the revisions of prices of mogas and gas oil?
Madam Speaker, his question is irrelevant, but I'm pleased to inform him that the PPC can meet every 4 months, and also we can meet more than once in these 4 months. We can meet also next week or tomorrow if we want. We don't need to wait 4 months. If the price goes down and we can see that we can decrease the price, we will do it. Okay? We don't need to wait 4 months.
Okay, next question.
Yes, Madam Speaker, the petroleum pricing mechanism has been frequently criticized by several members of the current government who were at the time in the opposition. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether he has plans to review and make changes to that petroleum pricing mechanism, and if so, what is his time frame?
First of all, we need to reimburse the deficit. Then we can think about over-calculation and so on. First of all, we need to replenish the deficit.
Okay. You finished, Leader?
Because we, and Madam Speaker, we have inherited from this government, from this previous government, where he's a member.
Clear your mess.
Leader of the opposition, your friend is asking.
Yeah, I'll give him
Friend
the
is asking.
Don't worry.
In the past, let me say, one moment. In the past, when Honourable Adrien Duval has asked to speak on your time for PNQ, I've often given him the time before you finish. I just wanted to make sure that everybody sees that I'm not looking one way only. So you will give him time, perhaps. We don't have much time left.
I have two last questions.
Okay,
Madam
well,
Speaker.
maybe he won't get time then.
Now, with regard to the price structure, in the electoral manifesto of the actual government, under the heading Coût de la vie et pouvoir d'achat, it is stated that government will review the price structure of mogas and gas oil with a view to reduce the retail price. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether this is still on the agenda of government and what is the time frame?
I think he's already answered.
No, on the price structure, Madam.
I'm sorry. Everybody's going to be a speaker today?
Des fois, même question.
I'm here
It's the same
until
question.
very late and the day is very young. Yes, Prime Minister, the day is young now. So I want you to be, I mean, we can do the usual, but the day is young. We've got plenty of time. And time is running. So he's already replied to that question. Your last question?
I can reply, Madam.
Okay, price structure. Price structure.
Madam Speaker, in fact, as I have said before, the PSA has a deficit. We have a deficit of 2.8 billion rupees right now. We need to reimburse this deficit. And then as from there, we may decide. It will be a government decision to see whether we will review the price structure. But first of all, we need to look for this money, the deficit that they created. Thank you.
That's enough. Last question. Honourable Leader.
Speaker, will the Honourable Minister agree that there is a growing frustration and anger among consumers with the recent decision to maintain the status quo on the prices of mogas and gas oil? And also not only on that, on the high prices of foodstuffs, despite the government promise to tackle the cost of living crisis. I still remember the honourable member when he was in the opposition, he brought shushu to this house and saying that people were complaining. This is the actual situation, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, out there.
It doesn't call for any reply. I have Mr. Ramdas who has asked, and then you.
Speaker, Madam Speaker, would the Honourable Minister be in a position to enlighten the House as to the composition of the board of the STC, if he has this information available, of course?
Yes? Is that okay? Can you?
Yes, Madam Speaker, I have composition of a board of the STC, you said, eh? So, yes, I can table it. The chairman is Dr. Leku Takesh, but I will table the details.
You will table. Yes, Mr. Duval.
Madam Speaker, does the Minister not find it most unfair that the retail price, the CIF price, for example, of mogas is 26.8 rupees, and the retail price is 61, more than double, due to taxes. On top of which, VAT, the only product in Mauritius on which VAT is charged, taking into consideration all the taxes plus the CIF price. So the VAT on Mogas is 7.8 rupees and on gas oil 7.6 rupees. Does he not find it most unfair then that VAT is being charged on top of on the value of the CIF plus excise duty and all the other taxes, and therefore does he not propose?
Don't repeat.
Yes, does he not propose to tenir sa parole and to abolish this system of computation of VAT on the total price?
Let the Minister reply, please.
Madam Speaker, his party was in government at a certain time. Pourquoi ils n'ont pas changé la structure? Mais je dois ajouter, Madam Speaker, the money that is being collected on Mogas and gas oil are given back to the population through subsidies. It also helps to maintain our welfare state. The contribution was introduced in the past, and they have not been removed by successive governments in a spirit of solidarity.
But he is talking, please.
T'allais te reposer. Your dad was Minister of Finance. Qui fait le ça?
Okay.
The pledge that was taken by government was taken at the time. The Alliance du Changement was fully aware of the price stabilization account deficit. In fact, Madam Speaker, if you look at the peak, 5.1, for example.
I'm sorry. This question has already been
No,
put by
Madam,
the leader of the
may I
opposition.
ask my question? The question is, at the peak, the previous government has reduced the deficit by more than 1.2 billion rupees on Mogas. And at the same time, you made the pledge to decrease the price of fuel by 20 rupees, by a third, knowing that there was the price stabilization account. And by the way, the deficit has been reduced to a greater extent by the previous government. The question is, why then have you made such a pledge?
Madam Speaker, we were not aware of the state of the economy at this time. On a hérité une situation catastrophique. Premièrement, il faut redresser l'économie le plus vite possible. C'est ça qu'il faut faire. Il faut mettre de l'ordre. Et c'est pourquoi, entre-temps, on voit qu'il y a beaucoup de soucis dans plusieurs ministères. Et on a vu à travers les médias que FCC est en train de faire beaucoup d'enquêtes. Beaucoup d'anciens ministres font le va-et-vient entre la FCC et chez eux. Et on a vu les dégâts que ces ministres et l'ancien gouvernement qui ont fait. Malheureusement, on a hérité. Il faut reconstruire le pays actuellement. Et on va le faire ensemble avec le peuple.
Next question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House about the composition of the Board of Petrol Pricing Committee?
Madam Speaker, yes, I don't mind to table
C'est pas la même chose. Je crois
the list, the composition of the Petroleum Pricing Committee. Okay, I have a paper.
Yes, all right. I got 2 minutes left. Everything? Okay. Okay, now we move on. Questions? Honourable members, the table has been advised. Non, c'est bon là. Honourable second member for Flack and Bon Accueil. Yes. Mr. Bichou.
Oui, Madame la Présidente, B355, s'il vous plaît. Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the MRA that the total number of VAT registered entities, including companies and persons, was as follows. In 2019, 16,231. In 2020, 17,393. In 2021, 19,368. In 2022, 21,543. In 2023, 24,046. And in 2024, 26,467. Regarding Part A of the question, I'm tabling the number of VAT registered entities, including the number of companies and persons. As regards Part B of the question, the total amount of VAT collected was as follows. In 2019, 13.8 million. In 2020, 29.6 million. In 2021, 31.5 million. In 2022, 43.4 million. In 2023, 50.6 million. And in 2024, 57 million.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Yes. Honourable First Member. Yes. Yes, please.
Yes, Madam Speaker, from information I gather, some 20,000 businesses ceased operation from 2019 and 2024. No doubt thousands of SMEs ran out of business due to an average inflation rate of 3.5%. Since the VAT threshold of 6 million rupees has remained unchanged for almost a decade, will the Honourable Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, out of compassion, kindly consider to increase that VAT threshold in order to support SMEs who are the backbone of this economy?
In fact, when you say for a decade it hasn't changed, it has, well, nearly, it was 4 million in 2015, yes. And it became 6 million. But the problem is, as Honourable Minister of Commerce has said, we have a huge debt. I cannot afford to allow the debt to increase. We just cannot do it.
Yes. Okay. The Honourable First Member for Lacaverne Phoenix.
PQB 356, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that the Phoenix Police Station is housed in its current location since 1959. The Phoenix Police Station serves an extensive jurisdiction covering approximately 21 square kilometers with an estimated population of 125,000 residents. It provides law enforcement services to several localities, including commercial zones and shopping malls. I'm further informed, Madam Speaker, by the Commissioner of Police that a tender has been launched on the 28th of March 2025 for the construction of a new modern police station at Phoenix. The new police station will be constructed adjacent to the existing building and is designed to meet the contemporary needs of the police in the region. The construction is expected to start in August of this year.
Yes. All right. Honourable Third Member for the Bassin Petite Rivière.
B357.
Madam Speaker, as regards to Part A, 1 and 2 of the question, I'm tabling the information requested by the Honourable Member. However, I wish to highlight that from 2019 to 2024, out of a total of 2,511 recruits, 159 have resigned for various reasons. With regard to Part B of the question, the starting salary for temporary police constables or women police constables is 18,650 monthly rupees. After completion of the recruit foundation course, which varies from 6 to 9 months, they are also paid a salary compensation of 4,010 rupees, which then brings their gross salary to 22,660.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Le Premier ministre peut-il informer la Chambre quels sont les critères de recrutement pour la force policière qui sont actuellement en cours?
This is the same criteria laid down by the Discipline Forces Commission, Madam Speaker. I believe myself, when I was Prime Minister, I asked for it to be changed to lower the entry requirements.
Okay.
Madame la Présidente, le Premier ministre peut-il nous dire comment est calculé le nombre de policiers qui doivent être recrutés chaque année et combien de policiers doit-on avoir dans chaque poste de police? Si jamais il a les informations, bien sûr.
Difficult to say that. In fact, it's like asking how long is a piece of string. We just can't say that. I don't know. They recruit, apparently, they recruit when they feel a need for recruitment. This is what we are told.
Yes.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Le Premier ministre vient de nous dire effectivement qu'il compte revoir les critères de recrutement dans la mesure du... Non, c'est pas ça qu'il a dit. Mais moi, ma question est la suivante, Madame la Présidente. Ne pense-t-il pas que la qualification académique minimum pour la force policière, et je vais dire pourquoi, devrait être school certificate, mais aussi privilégier le physique? Parce que de nos jours, quand nous sommes sur le terrain, le constat qu'on fait, malheureusement, ce sont des policiers qui n'ont pas le physique de l'emploi. Le Premier ministre peut-il nous dire s'il compte revoir ces critères et favoriser les recrues qui ont un physique à faire douter les voyous?
Thank you. Thank you. I believe that's what I said. I believe that I myself...
Very interesting.
Next life. I believe I myself, when I was Prime Minister, I asked, and it was done, that would reduce the entry requirements to a lower level. And as for the physical, I've already mentioned that. But I think I must agree there are certain cases where we see.
It exists already.
It exists, I think, as far as I know, because I asked for it to be reduced. I think it has been reduced, because I remember Grégoire came to see me to thank me for that, because he felt that certain communities were being discriminated. But as you say, I agree with you that it must be the physique of the person is very important. Must be. I believe it is taken care. What happens? Probably they grow fat afterwards.
But they go for training. They do training every day, from what I know. Yes. Where are we now? Third member for Port Louis North and North Island, Mr. Kazer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQ B358, please.
Madam Speaker, as announced in the government program of 2025-2029, my government will introduce biometric passport with advanced encryption and anti-tampering mechanism. The biometric passports, known as e-passports, will incorporate biometric data, which will facilitate the verification of the identity of the passport holder. It will also reduce the risk of identity fraud. It will also ensure faster immigration clearance and visa waivers for many countries. Many countries tend to waive the visa requirement if you have this biometric passport. My office, in collaboration with the Minister of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation, is currently working on the specifications of the biometric passport. There was an attempt to do that in the past, but there are ça paraît très louche.
Yes. Honourable First Member for Port Louis North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B359, thank you.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that in accordance with Section 131 of the Police Standing Orders, the responsibility to determine the section of the law under which charges are preferred against accused parties rests upon completion of the inquiry, and it is as follows. For cases classified as crimes, it is by the Superintendent of Police or above. For cases classified as misdemeanors, by Assistant Superintendent of Police and above. For cases classified as contraventions, by Chief Inspector of Police, Inspector of Police and above. Certain cases that are not classified as either a crime or a misdemeanor or a contravention, such as industrial accidents and injuries, or loss of documents, loss of cards, minor road traffic accidents and missing persons, are dealt with an officer not below the rank of Chief Inspector of Police. Madam Speaker, I'm further informed by the Commissioner of Police that for certain offences under specific legislation, such as drug offences, fatal road accidents, homicides and sexual offences, after completion of the inquiry, Such cases are referred to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for advice.
Yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will the Honourable Prime Minister agree with me that sometimes the charges against suspects are not proportionate with the offences? Case of severe wounds and blows or severe assault causing effusion of blood, for example, end up as simple larcenies, and this must be addressed. Can the police take legal advice from the DPP before levelling proper charges against accused parties so that defaulters do not get away scot-free? Thank you.
I will certainly pass on that suggestion to the police.
Okay. Honourable Second Member for Rivière-des-Anguilles-Souillac.
B360, s'il vous plaît.
Madam Speaker, in regards to Part A of the question, I'm informed by the Mauritius Revenue Authority that the revenue generated since the introduction of the levy up to end of March 2025 amounted to 2.1 billion rupees, out of which 652 million were paid by enterprises holding a global business license. As regards Part B of the question, I'm informed by the Mauritius Revenue Authority that the effective rate of the levy for many enterprises in the global business sector is actually 0.4% or lower, in view of the fact that these enterprises avail themselves of a partial exemption of 80% on specified income or tax credit offsets.
Yes?
Can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House whether is there the possibility of removing the 2% levy tax, because other jurisdictions like the islands of Man and Jersey, our two main competitors, have a lower rate than us?
In fact, I wish to inform the House that representatives of the global business sector have expressed concerns on the CCR levy, claiming that it will negatively affect the long-term competitiveness of the services sector. I am informed by the Financial Services Commission that data for the period July to December 2024, which I think you asked, is 6 months after the announcement of the introduction of the CCR levy. And therefore, this new global business companies licenses has increased by an average of 8% compared to the period of July to December 2023. Now, these concerns are being analyzed by my ministry together with the Ministry of Finance Services and Economic Planning in consultation with the Mauritius Revenue Authority, the Financial Services Commission, and other concerned stakeholders. To complete, the CCR levy was applied indiscriminately to all enterprises with a turnover exceeding 50 million rupees.
Yes. The Honourable Second Member for Grand Bay, Poudre d'Or.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B361.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that Goodlands Police Station covers an area of 33 square kilometers and has a population of approximately 34,000 residents. The station's jurisdiction includes the areas of Goodlands, Petit Raffoué, Rocheterre, Cottage, and Saint-Antoine. The number of staff at Goodlands Police Station has increased over the past years, due to the increase in economic and commercial activities as well as traffic flow in the areas. Presently, there are 88 police officers of different ranks are posted at the Goodlands Police Station. As regards to Part A1 of the question, the number of police officers posted at Goodlands Police Station is as follows. Assistant Superintendent of Police, 1. Chief Inspector of Police, 2. Inspector of Police, 3. Police Sergeant, 21. Woman Police Sergeant, 3. Police Constable, 45. Woman Police Constable, 13. As regards to Part A2 of the question, 2 police vans are attached to the police station. Additionally, Goodlands Police Station is supported by police officers from other units and branches of the police force. I should say, if there are major events, additional personnel from other police stations are also called upon to reinforce the personnel of Goodlands Police. As regards to Part B of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that the police contingent at Goodlands, supported by 26 safe city cameras and resources from other units and branches, is adequate for effective policing in the area. However, Madam Speaker, I'm informed that the current building housing the police station dates back to 55 years ago, and with the increase in services to be delivered, the office and parking spaces thereat are now found to be insufficient. It is therefore proposed that, I think the procedures are already started, it is proposed that a new police station will be built to relocate that police station.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Yes, the Honourable fourth member for Rodrigues, Mr. Edouard.
Madam Speaker, B362.
Madam Speaker, the government program of 2025-2029 is a program for the Republic of Mauritius, including Rodrigues and Outer Islands. We recognize that each outer island has their own specificities. In this context, at paragraph 19 of the government program, we have stressed that government will pay urgent and special attention to Rodrigues, Argaliga, and Saint-Pando. With regards to Rodrigues, the government program also announces, one, the development of the airport in Rodrigues, which will be integrated in the master plan for the overall development of our airports. Second, special attention will be given to the water situation through the improvement of distribution network and storage system. Third, food security will be enhanced through an agricultural land suitability mapping and also the rational use and management of prime agricultural land and introduction of the latest methodology for traceability of food and food products. And fourth, a land drainage master plan will be commissioned by the Land Drainage Authority. The consultancy contract has already been awarded. Madam Speaker, as announced in the government program, we're coming up with a new economic model on which we'll elaborate in the forthcoming budget, taking into consideration the state of the economy. However, nobody knew in what precarious economic situation the previous regime has left the country. Total public sector debt, as Honourable Sequin just mentioned, as a percentage of GDP is just over 90%. The budget deficit will be above 9% by June of this year. We need to bring down the level of budget deficit and public sector debt, and this will be the priority of the government.
Yes, Mr. Edouard.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Depuis les années 60, on a parlé de la nécessité de prendre des mesures pour que Rodrigues puisse rattraper son retard sur Maurice. Est-ce que le Premier ministre peut nous dire si le gouvernement va prendre l'engagement de faire en sorte que Rodrigues puisse rattraper ce retard sur Maurice dans les différents secteurs?
Je n'ai pas trop bien compris la question.
It's a tall order. He's talking about catching up development in Rodrigues in general, right? Is that right, Mr. Edouard? Oui.
Le retard que Rodrigues a accumulé, on a pris l'engagement, on a fait la promesse qu'on va faire en sorte que Rodrigues puisse rattraper son retard sur Maurice. Mais au fil des années, on a vu que l'écart se creuse par rapport au développement.
Don't make a statement.
Mais est-ce que le Premier ministre peut nous dire si ce gouvernement va prendre l'engagement de faire en sorte, autant que possible, pour que Rodrigues puisse rattraper son retard dans les différents secteurs?
I would love to be able to say yes, but we have to take into account the context of this economic situation, which is disastrous.
Okay, Mr. Bichuk, second member.
Oui, Madame la Présidente. Merci. B363, s'il vous plaît.
Madam Speaker, let me from the very outset point out to the House that there had been serious allegations in the public, including the press and social media, with regard to potential installation and use of equipment for sniffing the internet traffic to and from Mauritius at Bejakot Cable Landing Station. The former Chief Executive Officer of Mauritius Telecom, Mr. MS, had during the live radio program Au Cœur de l'Info on Radio Plus on the 1st of July 2022, publicly made allegations to the effect that a foreign team had been allowed to make interventions on the safe cable and which acts might constitute a threat to national security and violation of the fundamental rights of expression as enshrined in our Constitution. These allegations have seriously affected the image of Mauritius Telecom, which owns the station, and also tarnished the image of Mauritius, both locally and internationally. Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that following the allegation on the radio program, the former Prime Minister made a statement to the police on the 11th of July 2022 in respect of a case of diffusing false news against Mr. MS, intimating that at no moment he had given instruction to the latter or Mauritius Telecom to allow any foreign party or telecom operator to install or use equipment to enable sniffing, interception, monitoring or recording of the internet traffic to and from Mauritius and other countries in the regions. Furthermore, the police subsequently received 4 other complaints following that allegation. These cases have been referred to the Central Criminal Investigation Department for investigations as they relate to the same facts and the circumstances as the case was reported by the former Prime Minister on the 11th of July 2022. In the course of police investigations between the 11th of July to the 3rd of February 2025, 23 persons were interviewed in connection with the cases and the statements were recorded. As on 10th of April 2025, no person has been arrested in connection with these cases. And surprisingly, no one had been before. The inquiry is going on, and I'm setting up, I should say, a national crime agency, which I mentioned before, which will enlist the services of foreign investigators to shed light into such high-profile cases.
Thank you. Yes. Honourable Second Member for Vieux-Grand-Port, Rosbel, Mr. Siebel. Yes.
Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, I am informed that for the financial year 2013 to 2014, Air Mauritius Limited realized a profit of 359,219,000 rupees, whereas from 2015 to 2024, Air Mauritius incurred a loss amounting to 721,683,000 rupees. If we can't even call this mismanagement. Madam Speaker, I'm also informed by Air Mauritius Limited that during the financial year 2017 to 18, the company disposed of one A340-300 aircraft on a sale and leaseback arrangement, and this incurred a loss of 107 million rupees and 800,000 rupees. 107,800,000. In the financial year 2021-2022, when the company was placed under voluntary administration, the following aircraft were disposed of. In June 2021, two A319-100 aircraft and consequently losses to the tune of 338,100,000 rupees. In November 2021, one A330-200 aircraft was sold, and a loss amounting to 637 million rupees was recorded. It is worth highlighting that in June 2021, Air Mauritius Limited entered into a consignment agreement with a private company for the disassembling of the two A340-300 aircraft, estimated at 220,500,000 rupees. This to disassemble them to have them as spare parts for sale by the private company or to any other third party. The sum received from the partial disposal of the two aircraft was 151,900,000 rupees, out of which Air Mauritius received 83,300,000 rupees. It was an agreed formula that Air Mauritius Limited incurred a loss with the agreed formula, a loss of 137,200,000 rupees. The net loss incurred for the sale of aircraft amounts to 1,220,100,000 rupees. This is how they manage Air Mauritius. This is what they did. It's a crime. As regards to Part B of the question, I'm informed that government has not injected capital directly in Air Mauritius, but it did so indirectly through Airport Holdings Limited by providing the latter with an advance of 12 billion rupees in September 2021 in the context of the watershed meeting to enable the company to provide funds to Air Mauritius Limited. Don't forget an administrator was appointed for meeting its urgent financial requirements and to cater for other associated costs. I'm informed that this advance was used by AHL as follows: 9.5 billion as loan to Air Mauritius, 812 million for acquiring shares of Air Mauritius Limited, 42 million for acquiring shares of Point Coton Resort Hotel Company Limited, 135 million rupees for acquiring shares of Jet Prime Limited, 14 million rupees injected as capital in subsidiaries of AHL, 1.007 billion rupees as loan to subsidiaries of AHL, and 324 million for the acquisition of floors at Medco building. Further, 166 million on the administrative expenses from August 2021 to June 2024. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Finance needed 25 billion rupees to fool the people, to give the illusion that there is economic growth. In fact, they needed 25 billion rupees to show that the debt was lower as compared to, as related to the GDP ratio. This is what they did: lied, illusion, false figures. AHL was set up comprising 23 entities, including Air Mauritius Limited. The actual net assets were valued at 10 billion rupees. However, goodwill amount of 41 billion was added to the 10 billion to reach a figure of 51 billion. What is worse, Madam Speaker, the MIC was instructed to buy 49% of AHL at a value of 51 billion rupees. MIC paid 25 billion to acquire 49% of the shares of AHL, where the actual assets were worth only 5 billion rupees. In other words, somebody has stolen the money. In other words, and we'll find out. We will find out. No culprit will be left without being forfeited. And I must emphasize, Madam Speaker, that the World Bank has confirmed that the 49% was worth only 5 billion rupees. Confirmed by the World Bank. This is a case of excessive overvaluation carried out at the expense of MIC, which is 100% owned by the Bank of Mauritius. It will mean, therefore, that MIC will have to impair with obvious consequences. I wish to apprise the House that following the injection of 25 billion rupees by the Mauritius Investment Corporation in AHL on the 9th of December 2021, AHL reimbursed the advance of 12 billion to the government on the same day transaction. On its part, Mauritius reimbursed an amount of 830 million to AHL, and an additional amount of 622 million has been offset by AHL through the purchase of the subsidiaries of Air Mauritius. The House may also wish to note that the board of AHL has, at its meeting held in March 2025, agreed to convert the remaining loan balance of 8.045 billion rupees of Air Mauritius into non-voting convertible redeemable preference shares. Madam Speaker, KPMG has been requested by AHL to probe into the amount of 2.5 billion rupees which should have been retained for working capital. Cash flow needed for MK, but was instead used for other purposes for which we have yet to understand where the money went. If there was a proper authorization, that amount was derogated for its original purpose. A forensic audit by KPMG is underway to understand all these very loose calculations that was done.
No, I'm sorry, time is up. Time is up. No supplementary. Honourable members, the table has been advised that the following PQs have been withdrawn: 366, 374, 381, I mean B, of course. B 391, B 393, B 394. Okay. I now call on second member for Belle-Rose Quatre-Bonnes, Ms. Anctil.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. B 365. Merci.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the Municipal Council of Travaux that there are 13 floodlights at Pavilion Football Ground. These are a combination of LED and halogen, and they are broad-beamed, high-intensity artificial light providing functional area lighting. With regard to Part A of the question, the Municipal Council of Travaux has apprised that according to a survey carried out on 19 March 2025, 4 units of those floodlights were found to be defective and consequently have to be replaced. Quotations are being sought by the Council for the purchase of 4 LED floodlights to replace the defective ones by end of April 2025. In addition, in order to increase the luminosity thereat, the Council has decided to fix 1 additional unit of floodlight on each pole. This project will be undertaken in the next financial year. Madam Speaker, as per the Part B of the question, I am advised that the fencing of the football ground was fixed more than 20 years ago. The metal poles holding them are in an advanced state of decay and rusting. This is a glaring example of how the former government failed to maintain sport infrastructure. I am further advised by the Municipal Council of Travaux that in the first instance, for the security and safety of joggers and players, one side of the fence of a length of 110 meters has already been removed. Action is being taken to replace the defective fence of 110 meters out of 460 meters. Bids were launched under the small community projects through restricted bidding on 7 March 2025. The closing date for submission was on the 18 March 2025. 3 bids have been received. The Executive Committee held on 3rd April 2025 approved the lowest substantially responsive bid. The expected start date of the works is on 30 April 2025, and the expected completion date is on 30 July 2025. In view of the fact that the funds are not available in this financial year, the replacement of the remaining 350 meters chain link fencing and including minor leveling works inside the football playground will be carried out in the next financial year. Madam Speaker, I am now answering Part C of the question. According to the Municipal Council of Travaux, as a result of continuous use of the ground throughout time, the soil has settled and the rock were spotted at the playground. These rocks have been removed by in-house labor. Let us reassure the House that my ministry is closely monitoring the implementation of all remedial works with the assistance of all local authorities. The safety of our citizens is our utmost priority. Unlike the former government, we were committed to improving our sport infrastructure and other amenities.
Yes, Ms. Anctil.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Madam Speaker, may I ask the Minister what specific measures will be put in place to ensure the regular upkeep and long-term maintenance of a pavilion football ground upon completion of the proposed improvement works? Thank you.
Yes, Madam Speaker, the Municipal Council of Travaux will implement a structured maintenance program upon completion of the improvement works once it's completed. And this will include routine inspections, timely repairs, cleaning and upkeep all the key components such as lighting, fencing, and playing ground. A dedicated team within the Council will oversee all these tasks
and provision has been made in the annual budget to ensure the sustainability and safety of the facility in the long term.
Yes, yes.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Madam Speaker, in the event that the pavilion football ground is temporarily closed to facilitate renovation works, will the Minister indicate whether alternative recreational facilities will be made available to the local community during that period? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the Council that these renovation works of the pavilion football ground would not necessitate any temporary closure.
Okay, that's it. Yes. Honourable third member for Port-Louis North and Mont Tailong, Mr. Kazan.
Thank you. B367, please.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, the issue of stray dogs is one of our priorities, and we are adopting a humane and multi-stakeholder approach to ensure long-term sustainable solutions. I co-chaired a meeting with the Junior Minister, the Honourable David, on the 17th March 2025, along with key stakeholders, including the NGO, the vet professionals, and the Mauritius Society for Animal Welfare, to take stock of all the issues. Madam Speaker, following proposals spearheaded by animal welfare advocates, a series of actions are being undertaken. A, the Board of MSOR has been reconstituted with Ms. Goura as part-time chairperson. B, the Mauritius Society for Animal Welfare will be restructured to be an internationally compliant body to access global support. C, collaboration with foreign veterinary professionals has been sought, particularly from India, to review the mass sterilization program, humane dog catching methods, and the catch-neuter release approach currently implemented by MSOR. D, the Commissioner of Police has been requested to inform as to whether stun gun or anesthetic darts could be used for catching of dogs. E, the Veterinary Council has been requested to expedite registration of veterinary professionals. F, the Animal Welfare Act of 2013 is being reviewed to empower MSOR to act against animal abuse, regulate dog breeding and importation, and introduce stronger penalties for defaulters. J, a first meeting to review the legislation was chaired by the Senior Chief Executive on the 26th March 2025, a representative of NGOs, and all proposals received thereon will be examined by different subcommittees to expedite its coming into operation. H, the Minister of Education and Human Resources has been requested to consider integrating the concept of animal welfare into the education system to sensitize students from an early age. Meanwhile, MSOR is continuously implementing its sustainable project for dog population control through mass sterilization, dog registration, and catch-neuter release program. The catch-neuter release method being used since 2022 no longer serves its purpose as stray dogs are being returned on the streets. This is why government has taken the bold initiative to construct dog shelters region-wise and an animal hospital. Madam Speaker, it is worth to note that the last survey on stray dogs was conducted as far back as December 2013 by the Humane Society International, and it was reported that Mauritius had a total owned dog population of approximately 246,000 and roaming street dog population of 57,000. The report also indicated that a large majority of stray dogs population in Mauritius is owned and the number of stray dogs was relatively low. The government is taking decisive action to implement a humane, sustainable and collaborative approach to managing the stray dog population after years of inaction. The welfare of animals and the safety of citizens remain at the heart of the government's initiative.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, Mr. Kazayan first.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to thank the Honourable Minister for his reply. It's a concern. Recently, many incidents have been reported with regards to the issue of stray dog causing accident. Mainly the two-wheelers have been impacted. I thank the Minister. Maybe another phenomenon which have been brought to our attention is we have rearing of cattle also, disturbing the peaceful environment within the region of Sainte-Croix, Mosellement Boulamali and Mosellement Rafray. May I ask the Honourable Minister if he can look into this issue also?
Yeah, I think the Honourable Member will seriously look into the matter. Let me come to the issue of stray dogs. What we are trying to do to increase the sterilization rate to bring down the reproductive capacity. It's not an easy task, but we are prodding and we hope we'll be there in due time.
Yes. No. I have Mr. Edouard first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The problem of stray dogs and other animals like cattle is also a problem, a big problem in Rodrigues. Will the Honourable Minister inform the House if the actions proposed will be extended to Rodrigues also?
Yes. I'm sorry, doesn't that concern the Rodrigues government?
Regional Assembly.
Anyway. Yes.
But the message will convey it loud and clear to
Yes.
the friends in the,
I'm a little bit
Rodrigues
surprised.
Regional Assembly.
Everything does not concern Mauritian government since you have your autonomy now. Yes, Mr. Duval.
Seems to be a degradation of stray dogs in Mauritius, unfortunately, since it's recognized that the stray dogs are in fact owned, have owners. May we know from the Minister, since November to date, how many contraventions have been served on owners of stray dogs in combating that flew?
Well, I need notice of this question, but once I have notice, I can find out in the relay the information.
Yes, next time.
Yeah.
We got 50 more minutes to go. Let's carry on, please. I think now it's second member for Flack and Bon Accueil.
Yes, Madam. B368, please.
Madam Speaker, I am informed that the region of Poste-des-Flaques has been subject to recurrent flooding due to the swelling of Poste-des-Flaques River during torrential rains. As the topography of the land is relatively flat, with wide floodplains, severe flooding problems have been encountered in this region since 2008. Despite the implementation of flood mitigating measures in 2013, these have not been successful in alleviating the flooding problems in the region. In view thereof, several projects have been identified for implementation under the National Flood Management Program by the Land Drainage Authority, namely flood mitigating measures at Alemang, Poste-des-Flaques, Débarcadère, La Source, Bramstan, Siroli, and Cité Hibiscus. Madam Speaker, the site visit which was carried out on the 5th February 2025 pertains particularly to the flood mitigating measures at Alemang, Poste-des-Flaques. I wish to inform the House that this region has been declared as a high-risk flood-prone area by the Land Drainage Authority, and the project was initially entrusted to the National Development Unit for implementation. Madam Speaker, I am further informed that in October 2018, NDU appointed a consultant for a feasibility study, and the report was submitted in November 2019, that is more than 1 year later. A second contract was given to the same consultant in January 2020 to submit a detailed design proposal. Only a preliminary design report was received in September 2020, and discussions lingered between the NDU and LDA for 1.5 years as to determine the best alternative to be adopted, that is either alternative 1, comprising the construction of a dike closer to the urbanized areas so as to increase the capacity of the river, or Alternative 2, which involves the construction of a flood wall along the bank of Poste des Flaques on the urbanized side. Subsequently, the project was handed over to the Drains Infrastructure Construction Limited in June 2022. The project consultant from DICL submitted a detailed design report in April 2023. Following geotechnical investigations carried out in 2024, a supplementary report to the detailed design report was forwarded to the Land Drainage Authority for approval. On 7 February 2025, the authority conveyed its no objection, subsequent to which the DICL requested the project consultant to prepare the draft bidding document. I am now informed by the DICL that the land acquisition procedures for 29 plots are ongoing, and it is expected that the bids will be invited for the appointment of a contractor once leaves are obtained to be able to start the works. Madam Speaker, I would like to deplore the fact that it took nearly 9 whole years to start initiating actions to implement this project, least to say how urgent issues were being dealt with by the previous government. I'm reassuring the House that now my ministry will ensure that the works will be undertaken at the earliest possible. Madam Speaker, I wish to point out that in terms of short-term measures, the dredging of Poste des Flaques River was carried out by the NDU in November 2023 and by the District Council of Flaques in November 2024, respectively, in view to mitigate the risk riverine flooding. Furthermore, I am informed that the District Council is undertaking regular cleaning works and removal of debris and aquatic plants that obstruct water flow to prevent flooding.
Yes. Next question, member for La Caverne Phoenix. First member, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B369, please.
Madam Speaker, I am informed that the Morcellement, les plaines de Hermitage and Pinewood were set up more than 20 years ago, whereas Highland Rose was set up around the year 2017. As regard to part A of the question, the Municipal Council of Vakwa Phoenix has informed that no complaints have been received from inhabitants of Morcellement, les plaines de Hermitage and Pinewood regarding the scavenging service thereat. However, 4 complaints were registered at the Citizen Support Unit portal from the inhabitants of Morcellement Highland Rose on scavenging service and 1 on the removal of bulky waste. Madam Speaker, each household is provided with scavenging service once weekly, either in the morning shift or in the afternoon shift. The distribution of scavenging works for refuse collection is undertaken on a zonal basis as follows. First, Morcellement, les plaines de Hermitage, morning shift, Monday for zone 1 and Tuesday for the remaining zone. And in the afternoon shift is only Tuesday. Second, Morcellement Highland Rose, morning shift, Thursday for 1 zone, Friday for another zone, and Wednesday for the remaining zone. In the afternoon shift, Friday for 1 zone, Saturday for another zone, and Wednesday for the remaining zone. And third, Morcellement Pinewood, morning shift, Thursday for 1 zone, Friday for the remaining zone. Afternoon shift, Friday for 1 zone, and Saturday on the remaining zone. Moreover, there should be a public holiday or any unforeseen circumstances, the Council will ensure that the waste is collected from the household on the next day. Additionally, bulky waste collection is carried out twice yearly. The last exercise was conducted in some areas of the aforesaid mentioned Morcellement on 5th and 6th October 2024. It is to be noted that 328,432 and 82 cents were provided to the Council for this exercise instead of the required amount of 1.8 million rupees. Hence, the bulky waste collection could only be carried out for Port of the Moselmo. The Council has already been given the green light to proceed with the second campaign of bulky waste collection, which will be done in May 2025. Madam Speaker, what is the use of participating in so many international conferences on climate change and protection of the environment, going as far as to pledge to save this planet, but failing to put words into action? They could not even cater for a basic service like refuse collection, an absolute wastage of public funds. As a short-term measure, the Municipal Council of Vakwa, Phoenix, has been requested to inform every household as to the exact date and time of waste collection. Additionally, I have requested my ministry to instruct the Council to ensure that scavenging service is provided to the entire Moselmo on one day or at the most 2 days, instead of splitting same into several days for different zones of the same Moselmo with effect from 1st of May 2025. Madam Speaker, as part B of the question, I am apprised by the Council that Moselmo, the Plaine des Hermitage, has 6 lots of green space of a total extent of 11,672 meters square. Highland Hose has 13 lots of green space of a total extent of 50,000 meters square, whereas Pinewood has 10 lots of green space of a total extent of 55,700 meters square. Furthermore, there are no jogging tracks at Highland Rose. However, there is one jogging track of 2 kilometers at Moselmo Pinewood, as well as one jogging track of 1 kilometer at Le Plaine des Hermitage. My ministry has instructed the Municipal Council of Vakwa Phoenix to initiate immediate action for the maintenance of all green spaces and jogging tracks within all the aforementioned Moselmo and other Moselmo as well. My ministry has also requested the Council to prepare a proper maintenance plan so as to effect cleaning and mowing of the Arbor Moselmo by in-house labor on a monthly basis. Madam Speaker, as for part C of the question, the Council has informed that it has not received any complaints regarding the street lighting at Moselmo Pinewood. As for Moselmo Plaine des Hermitage, the Council reported a loss of street lighting cables thereat to the Mocha Police Station on 23rd of December 2021. Financial clearance was obtained from the then Ministry of Finance, Economic and Planning and Development as far back as 26 July 2024 to the tune of 1.5 million rupees for the repair of the street lighting network. The material have already been purchased. However, the street lighting cables have not been installed yet. Nevertheless, I wish to reassure the House that this government is here to work for the betterment of the inhabitants. The lost cables at Moselmo, Le Plaine des Hermitage, will be replaced by the in-house labor, and the works are expected to start as from this month itself. Madam Speaker, for the Moselmo Highland Rose, a survey was carried out in July 2024, whereby it was observed that around 300 street lanterns were defective. Upon investigation, it was found that most of them date back to more than 8 years and have reached their lifetime. Hence, replacing them with new ones would be more cost-effective. And then, even then, nothing was done by the former government to remedy the situation. This clearly depicts a severe lack of responsibility and seriousness when it comes to initiating prompt action for the well-being of the community, which is not surprising when it concerns the former government. Madam Speaker, I am now informed that the bidding documents are under preparation for the acquisition of 300 street lanterns at an estimated cost of 3 million rupees for Moselmo Highland Rose. My ministry has requested the Council to expedite matters in a bid to resolve this issue as early as possible.
Thank you, Minister. Are you happy with this? Very happy. I've got 3 minutes left. Miss Antille. Question and short answer from Minister.
B 370, merci.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am informed by the NTC that it has 93 employees governed by the PRB, whose retirement benefit plan is carried out under the NTC Corporation Pension Fund. This fund, which was created on 25th July 1979 in accordance with the Statutory Bodies Pension Funds Act, is administered and managed by SICOM. The monthly contribution to the pension fund for an employee is made at the rate of 11% of the pensionable emoluments by the employer and 6% of the pension emolument by the employee. Madam Speaker, I am informed by that the latest actuarial report of the NTC Pension Fund, dated 22nd December 2022, indicates a deficit of 231 million rupees. This deficit has further increased to 285.4 million rupees as per the consultation with SICOM in January 2025. 285.4 million rupees for 93 employees, tantamount to a hefty figure of more than 3 million rupees per employee. The actuarial firm recommended cash injections over a period of 5 to 10 years, over a mix of cash injections over a period of 5 to 10 years, and an increase of the contribution by 3% to address the situation. However, the recommendations were not implemented by the NTC. Madam Speaker, I wish here to inform the House that the actuarial review is carried out every 5 years. The report in 2018 also indicated a deficit of 78.7 million rupees, and the recommendations made therein were not implemented. It is worth mentioning that we are in this situation today, as the past service deficit disclosed in previous valuations have not been funded. Compounded with that, as I mentioned in the House before, the financial accounts of the last 9 years were not prepared and audited for the NTC. These accounts, if prepared and audited, would have surely highlighted the situation of the pension fund and trigger appropriate notices by the Director of Audit. Thank you.
Yes. Two
very small. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Je suis choquée, mais bon. Would the Minister clarify the responsibilities of the management and the board members of a National Transport Corporation with regard to the pension rights of its employees? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, as I mentioned in the House before and now already well known, the NTC was marred in a quagmire of corruption over the last 9 years. There are several inquiries going on at the FCC for fake spare parts, for tires that last only 4,000 kilometers. Never seen before. When I took office, I cleansed the management. We fired the then general manager, and now we are recruiting a new one through open advertisement. It is being evaluated now. All the board members who were there have gone as well, including the ex-officials. Only left with one person now, and he is elected by the workers. His name is, let me look for his name, Mr. Lachana, who I have no say in his appointment over the board. I leave it to the employees of the NTC to ask him how he has spent his years on the board of the NTC while this was happening before his own eyes.
Last question, yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the Honourable Minister inform the House of the remedial measures currently being envisaged? Thank you.
Well, first of all, to implement the recommendations of the actuarial review, mainly to fund the past deficits I highlighted before. However, the NTC is now in a financial situation that it is in, and we will only know the state of affairs once the audited accounts have been completed. Only then we can know the financial means available at the NTC to fund the pension funds which are due to the employees. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will break for an hour and a half. This time I'm not mistaken. We're coming back at 2:30.